Hey y'all, happy Wednesday. How's everyone? So I came on a few seconds early, it looks like, but that's okay. I'll give everybody a sec here to start joining in, and then we will get started. Hey Tina, hey Kathy. Thanks for sharing, Kathy. Hey Barbara, hey Nicole, hey Cindy. Hey Liz, hey everybody. Hey Denise. Hello, hello. How's everyone doing on this Wednesday evening? If this is your first time here, because I'm just going to get this out because I always forget. If this is your first time here, welcome. My name is Katrina, and I am the owner and cookie artist here at Dots and Bows Cookies. We are live every Wednesday evening at 7 p.m. Central. Hey Mary, hey Kelly, hey everybody, hey Zona, hey Betsy, hey Renee. Okay. So, if you can kind of see from what I have in front of me, we are going to be working on some St. Pat cookies tonight. Please go in there with your dad. Sorry, I have kids in here trying to do something. Okay, like I said, we're going to do some St. Pat cookies tonight. We actually did a couple in our cookie crew for our bonus tutorial the other night, and they were cute, so I figured we would keep kind of rolling with that theme and jump in here and do a few more fun ones. So, that's what we're going to do. Hey, Tracy. Hey, Kathy. If you guys want to put in the keyword tonight, it is lucky. L-U-C-K-Y, lucky. That will take you to some fun links we have going on. Of course, to all of the products that I always use, cutters, colors, everything like that. So we're going to be doing 3 different cookies tonight. This one you can see has a lot of sketching on it because I was kind of making a feel of where I wanted where. And I just did that with an edible marker. Hey, Beth. So I just kind of did a quick sketch. Now, I'm going to tell you, this is a cutter flip, okay? This is what the cutter originally looks like. Which is kind of funny. This reminds me of if it would be like hair, like Donald Trump hair or something, right? Like when I turned around, that's what it reminds me of. But imagine none of the sketches here. This is actually a soft serve, like ice cream cone cutter. Okay? I just flipped it. You can also, so I'm flipping it to be a leprechaun face. You can also use any other basic ice cream cone cutter. This is from the Sweet Sugar Belle Shapeshifter set. Again, this is the original cone. If you were to flip it, you could pretty much do the same thing. I just used a different one I had. The other one I had is from Semi-Sweet Mike's. Hey, Louise. And I just did that one because it has a little bit of a wider base on it for the hat, but you could totally do this one as well, or any other ice cream cone cutter. So that's a flip for that. I know, right? It did if you did it this way. I know, that's what it reminds me of too. You could definitely, since I did it, I looked at it and I was like, oh, you could make that a ton of different things. Okay. So, like I said, we're going to be doing the leprechaun face. This one we're going to do a cool little take on. It's going to look like the flag of Ireland, but we're going to do some cool stenciling here on it. And then this one we're going to do a fun pattern on with some airbrush. These both have been pre-flooded and they're dry. I did those this morning before so that we could work on this. Hey Linda. Hey Gloria. Hey guys. Okay, before we do any of that, let me just share really quick while I have everybody on here, because I know as towards the end of the video, everybody has to get going for their night. I wanted to do a quick share. If you didn't get to see them on the page earlier today, I finished these today, and I'm super duper excited about them. These, I'll zoom out so we can kind of catch all of them here. These are the 5 cookies that we are going to be decorating next month in our cookie crew. Let me zoom out. How cute are those, right? So a lot of people in my crew, hey Donna, hey Cameo. A lot of people in my crew were requesting some florals, learning some floral stuff. So I did some of that, but they all specifically wanted to do the little hipster bunny, so we're doing that. But these 2 cutters right here are the free custom cutters that you get with the membership. So it's the little bunny and the carrot car and then our little hop. So just to let everybody know, our doors are still open for that if you're interested. That is one of the working links that you will get in your messenger if you type in lucky tonight in the comments. And our doors are going to be open until I believe Friday or Sunday. I can't remember what day it was. But anyway, that's the cookies that are in the cruise. And I loved them. When I started doing them today, I was falling in love with them. So, okay. Let's do this. Before we do anything on the shamrocks, I want to go ahead and get a couple of steps done on our leprechaun. The very first thing that we're going to do, and I'll tell you why I'm going to do this first. Normally I wouldn't do this step first on this cookie, but I am doing the little buckle on his hat. And I'm going to do that first because if anybody ever watches me, you already know I love glitzy, shiny, anything to do with that. So I figured it would be really cool if we did some of this hologram gold glitter, edible glitter, and we're going to pipe some icing on and then put that glitter on his buckle. And we're going to do that first because if I were to put other icing down around it and then do that, this gold's going to go all over, all around it, and I really only want to isolate it to that gold buckle, okay? Hey, Hope! We're excited too. So the first thing I'm going to do, I just mixed up any kind of yellow. This is kind of a pale yellow. I already had it mixed up from earlier today, making cookies I was working on. It doesn't really matter because we're going to be covering it up with that glitter. So you won't really see the color underneath too much. I just wanted it to be some sort of yellow. Let's see. Can you use the Wilton sprays for stencils? You can. However, I will just tell you, Brianna, sometimes I don't know. You just have to play around with them a little bit. They're obviously not as, I'm trying to think of the word that I'm looking for. They're obviously not as controlled as an airbrush. So you can definitely play around with them though and see what you can get out of them. A lot of people like using them, especially if they don't want to invest so much in an airbrush yet. But you can definitely give them a shot and see what you think. Okay, so like I said, I just had this pale yellow. I'm going to fill in. Yeah, Linda, you know what? We have an international button for all of our international because we have shipping for international as well. So if you want to check that out, we do have an international option. Okay, so I coated this, like I said, I put yellow down. I'm going to give this a good coating of this edible. I love this color. It's a gold, but it's like a hologram gold. So it's like, has all these like little reflective pieces in it. The Cookie Crew, for the States, it is $29.99 a month. And you get 2 free cutters, completely free, no cost for shipping or anything like that. For Canada, it's a little bit higher, and then for international, it's a little bit higher because our shipping rates are just a little bit higher for those places. But we have all the prices and all the info for everything on the website if you wanted to check that out. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough with the exchange rates, and we know that. It puts us in a hard spot because we wish we could offer it, the same to everyone across the board the same way, but the shipping is so much higher and everything, and I know y'all's exchange rate just makes it crazy, so I know, it stinks. Okay. Hey, Kimberly. Hey, Patsy. So you can see here, isn't that pretty? So I went ahead and did that part. So what we'll do, we'll let that crust, and while that's crusting, we can come down here and start filling in some other parts of him, okay? This orange that I mixed up, I made it a little bit of a deeper orange. It's almost like I had a teeny tiny touch of red to it. And I wanted to make it this way because I didn't want it to be like your standard bright orange for his beard. I wanted to look more of like that gingery type orange. So that's the orange that I went with. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to fill in and flood in this section here that's for his beard. Yeah, it's tough. It's really tough with the exchange for the other countries. And we knew that going in, but we still wanted to have it be an option in case anybody still wanted to do that. It's tough, and we know that. Unfortunately, it's one of those things that is out of our control. We try our best to make it for everyone, everywhere, but it doesn't always end up that way. But you know what? We're here every Wednesday anyway, so you still get to come on and have fun with us every Wednesday either way. Okay, so I'm just flooding in, and we're going to go back and do some detail on the beard too with a thicker consistency of this color, just to kind of give it a little bit more detail here. But first we got to get the base down and get that crusting over. Yeah, I hope so too, Linda. I hope so too. Hey, Ellen, how are you? Okay, so I think, so we did the beard. So if you ever watched me before, you know, you have to do, or you don't have to do, but when I do my cookies, I do every other little section because I want them to have definition between the sections. If you were to flood in every section all together, it would be one just kind of big flat blob of color, okay? Misty, I use different consistencies. For flood, I use the same one. It's kind of like a medium flood. I'll be right off the bat and tell if you haven't watched me before, I don't count my consistencies. I do it all by feel and by eyeballing it. But this is around like a medium to a little bit thinner of a consistency for flood. If you had to compare it to time-wise, it would probably be more like a 10 to 15 seconds, somewhere around that range. And then I use thicker ones for like details and stuff. So it'd be like more of like a piping consistency. It's going to hold its shape. Okay. So the next thing I think that I'm going to do is, you can see I made all the lines on the hat. That's because I was kind of judging of where I wanted the brim at, and all of the different sections. Give me 1 second. Let me make sure here. Carrie's telling me we need to turn up the brightness. Let me flip the brightness up a little bit for y'all. Okay, maybe that's a little bit better. I just didn't want it to be too bright where it was blinding you out. Okay, so as I was saying before, I kind of sketched in different areas here. So like this band here, that's going to be our black band going across the hat through his belt, through his little buckle here. I guess it's not a belt, through his buckle, like his band on his hat. So this will be green on either side of here. And all these different lines is kind of where I was testing out how far I wanted to bring down, kind of like the brim part, the rim part on his hat. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and grab some flood green. So this is just like a leaf green color. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to outline and flood in the top part of his hat here. Okay. Now remember, like I said, right below that we have, and I'm going to bring this down just a little bit lower here with my tool. There we go. And then right below it, we have the little band, that is the black band that goes around his hat. So we're going to skip that for now. And then we will continue the green right below where that band is. And then I'm kind of like looking at where I cut off my little rim of the hat at. So this is the new bottom I made, and it's not very thick. So we'll come down here. I know it's kind of confusing to look at because I changed my mind like 15 different times when I was sketching this out. Because when you do a flip on a cutter, it's not always cut and dry. You're kind of figuring out your sizing and your design on it. So it takes a little bit, your first cookie. Now once I did one of them and I liked it, then I probably wouldn't even have to do too much sketching. I would just kind of know what I was doing with it. But being the first one, I played around a little bit. Okay. Hey, Kathy. Okay, so there's the main part of our hat. So we're not going to do the brim or the rim part of it yet. We're going to wait. And then all the others we're going to wait on as well, because every other section on here is going to be touching another section that we would need to crust up first, okay? So I'm going to pop this in the dehydrator while we start working on some of our other cookies, and then we come back, we can fill in some more parts and then add details to him. So the next cookie that I want to go ahead and work on, we're going to do some airbrushing on. It's going to be the Shamrock. And like I said, we are going to do a couple of fun things with stencils. So I'm actually using, this is a mini Harlequin stencil. This is by the Cookie Countess. So we're going to be putting that, oh, hey Roxy, it was just, this is a different one. I don't have the other cutter I use, but it is a, you can use any ice cream cone cutter and you just flip it upside down. So then it makes like the beard down here and his hat and stuff. So any ice cream, like soft serve type cutter will work the same way. So this is, like I said, a mini Harlequin stencil. This is from the Cookie Countess. So we're going to be airbrushing this diamond design on this center part here in green. And then I have a second part of a stencil. It has these little thin pinstripes. This is actually from a two-piece plaid set from the Cookie Countess. And we are going to be going in and putting some diagonal orange striping across that Harlequin, so that it looks like that St. Patrick's Day plaid. We're going to do that over the center section, and then we're going to do a green and an orange side to represent like the flag of Ireland. So, Jessica says, I'm a newbie. Is there a DIY to dehydrate? So you can put them just in front of like a table fan, Jessica. They don't have to be like necessarily in a dehydrator. It just speeds it up. But a fan does the same thing. You can put them in front of a fan. You can get a fan that has like a heating element in it, and that works really fast. Some people like to pop them in an oven on like a really low temp, or even just under the light in the oven, and let them kind of just dry real quick and crust over in there. I don't do the oven thing. I never have, so I can't give you too much info about that. I've just heard others talk about it. I usually will just use like a table fan. Any kind of small fan, just to help. It just helps your icing crust over that much faster. Okay, so for the green that we're doing with the airbrushing, I am using, and my bottles are messy, so ignore that. This is Leaf Green, and it's by AmeriColor. It's their airbrush color. And I just put a few drops in the well of my airbrush gun here. Yeah, you can totally use the heat fan. Okay. So here is, this is a, I'm zoomed over in, so you can't see it really well, but this is, you're welcome. This is a stencil genie. Not a stencil genie, this is a stencil snap, excuse me. I have both. This is a stencil snap. This is by Sweet Sugar Belle. And it is a holder, much, if you've seen the stencil genie, it's much like that you can place your stencils in to hold them in place when you're airbrushing over a cookie. And I believe we have a link to both the stencil genie and the stencil snap, I believe, on our website. Yeah, it's a good airbrush, Nicole. You would like it. Okay, so I'm kind of lining up. Let me move this down. I'm lining up this design on here because I want most of the diamond, a full diamond shape, to go down into this center white stripe. And that's pretty much where I have it here. So I'm going to turn my airbrush on, and when you're airbrushing, you always want to stay vertical, as vertical as you can over the top of your stencil. You don't want to come at it like from the side over here. That's going to give you a lot of underspray. Okay, you won't get crisp lines that way. So let me give my airbrush a spray and make sure we're good. And when you start, you want to do very light back on the trigger, and you want to just kind of move and build up as you go. You don't want to sit and saturate one spot at a time. You just want to kind of do nice sweeping motions over it. And I'm just going along the edge here. And it's okay. I'm doing this first, by the way, before I put any other color down. Because if I were to do this after I put the other colors down next to it, all of my overspray would go onto that icing color I put down. So you want to do this first to give it a clean look. Okay. So there is our Harlequin kind of diamond shape down first. Yeah, Liz, let me tell you, when I first got the stencil snap, I legit sat there for like 15 or 20 minutes and was messing around to put it together. Because if you guys can see it, it has all these little openings on here. Let me turn it. It has these little openings on here, so you can adjust it, right? So right now I have it adjusted to where that's the normal size of most stencils, a 5.5 by 5.5. But you can actually extend it to be for bigger stencils. You can make it smaller. So it's a nice tool to have if you you know, want to be able to move it around. Like the stencil genie that is just for 5.5 by 5.5, or for smaller ones you have to use like like a blocker in it. Whereas the snap you can kind of adjust for the different kinds of stencils. Yeah, Nicole, it's pretty cool. I've been using it actually. I'm not going to say a lot more than the genie, but I've been probably using it equal amounts of time, and I've been pretty happy with it. And it's the same way. I'm just cleaning my airbrush out real quick, guys. It's the same way as like the stencil genie is, to where one side is thinner and one side is thicker, so it accommodates different thicknesses of cookies. So it's pretty cool. I've been pretty pleased with it. Okay, I'm just rinsing this green out really quick through my airbrush, and we're going to switch over to an orange color for our stripes. Yeah, I had the... Okay, yeah, when I was putting mine together, I was like, what is happening? Because I felt like it kept snapping apart, and I was like, what am I doing wrong? But it just took, you know, taking time and walking through it for me to figure out what I was doing. Okay. Yes, it can definitely handle bigger cookies as well. That's true, Donna. You said I made some with royal icing stenciling the other day and couldn't hold the stenciled. Okay, yeah. So if you've never watched me live before, anytime I do stenciling with royal icing, I don't use any kind of holder. I use the little round magnets, and I put them like on a cookie sheet, and I hold the stencil down that way. I feel like all of the stencil guides, like the genie and the snap, they get in my way. So I just use magnets. So this is just the regular orange color by Americolor, Amerimist. And like I said, this is one part of a two-piece plaid set, but I thought it would work perfect for some of our stripes here on that we're going to be doing both ways. Okay. You can get the magnets anywhere. I think I got them at like Michael's or something. You can get them on Amazon, pretty much anywhere. They're just little round magnets. They're pretty easy to find. Okay, so this green is completely dry. So what we're gonna do is, I'm gonna have to do this with a couple of passes, because we're gonna have to move this because they're not close enough together to where I can do them all at once. But that's not a big deal. So I'm going to line this up, and we'll do our first pass with orange. Yeah, you can get them at Walmart, Michael's, I mean pretty much anywhere. They're just a standard little round magnet. Okay, so our orange is good to go. For stripes, you just want to make sure you're giving nice, even strokes over the stripe. You don't want to go like this against it. You want to go with the stripe. That's going to give you a crisper, cleaner line. Okay, so there's our first pass of stripes. Okay, so on the next one, I'll move it again. That way we're having one that runs over every diamond. And then we're going to flip it and go the other way. Okay, so I'm just going to give this a quick second. It doesn't take long at all for this to dry. It's pretty dry now. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and move this again. So this time you can see it's going to go over two more different diamonds here. I'm lining up the line to match with the diamonds. So if you didn't see what I was doing, I'm moving it that way. Okay. Now we only have this one and this one to go over, and then we'll flip it and go the other direction. So I'm going to give this just a second to dry. It doesn't take very long at all. You just want to give it maybe 20-30 seconds, just enough so you're not, when you sit your stencil down, it's not going to stick to it. If it's still just a touch, it stays tacky sometimes. You just want to make sure you give it, doesn't take long at all, just a couple of seconds. Like that one's already good to go. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, now if I move them up this way, I'll be able to cover these two diamonds here. And I'm sure you can get a like a pinstripe stencil that would be closer together and you wouldn't have to do it just like this, but this is what I have. So, Susan, yeah, every single live that we've ever done here on our Dots and Bows page is on our page, on our Facebook page. So you can go back and watch any one that I've ever done. They're all there. Okay, I'm going to give this a quick dry, and then we'll flip the stencil. It's pretty already, right? I'm a sucker for plaids anyway. Like you don't have to do much. Hey, Judy. You don't have to do much with plaids to get me going. Okay, so let's go ahead and we're going to turn this now. So we're going to do the exact same thing, except we're going to have to do this again in like a couple of steps, which is no big deal. So that looks pretty good right there. Hey, Brenda. No worries. We're just here playing with some St. Patrick's Day cookies. Okay. So there's one pass. So you can see how cute that's going to be with them crossing over there. Oh, Susan, are you asking about the crew? Oh, I totally missed that part that you said the crew. Duh. Yeah, all the tutorials are in the crew while you're in the crew. And then if someone should ever leave the crew, we have them backed up and password protected on our website as well. But yes, they're all there. It's really not, Felicia. It's not at all. It just takes a lot of getting used to. I always tell everybody when you first start using an airbrush, just practice a lot, because that's going to be your best friend, is practicing. Okay, so I'm lining up my next one. Let me see. I want it to go over this one, so I'm going to have to turn it a little bit. That's perfect right there. It just takes a lot of practice to get used to the pressure of when you're pulling back the trigger on the gun, and just a lot of different things. But once you get it, you have it. You don't have to think about it anymore. You just go and do it. Hey, Loretta. Oh yeah, Brenda, you can use all kinds of stencils. All kinds. And I'm going to give you guys another tip. So when you're using your airbrush, if you're not pulling back the trigger, you're not spraying anything. It's just air. I can also use that to dry my the airbrush color on the cookie. So I can just give this a quick little, with the air, it's just air coming out. There's no color coming out of my gun right now. I'm not touching the trigger. I'm just letting the air come out, and that helps dry that just a little bit quicker as well. Perfect. Okay. So now we're going to do our last pass here with our orange. So let me line this up. I've only used single action. That's all I've ever only used. So I can't tell you much about double action or what that may even be like, because I haven't done it. I've only used single. Okay, so what do you guys think of our plaid going on here? It's cute, right? Okay, so I'm gonna put a little bit of water in my airbrush gun while we work on a couple other parts here. And then, because we're gonna use it again, we're gonna use some gold, y'all. We're gonna be airbrushing some gold here soon, so that'll be fun. Okay. Now, on the flag of Ireland, it has green, white, orange, okay? So our white is serving the purpose of having this really cute plaid on it. So the first thing we're gonna do, you have a double. Yeah, I've never used it. I couldn't even begin to tell you, because I've never used them. So, okay. So I'm going to turn this sideways just because it's easier for me. We're going to do this left side over here green. So I'm just going to come up here and outline all up against this section. So basically all the naked cookie over here is going to get covered in green on this side. And you can see why I did the airbrushing first, because now when I'm putting my color down, it's covering up all of that overspray, so you're not even going to see it. It's underneath your icing. Okay? So there's the green side. Cute, right? And then we're going to come in with our orange flood. This is the same orange. You could even do a little bit of a brighter orange if you wanted, but like I said, I'm using the same one for his beard color. So we're going to use that one, which it still pretty much matches. Like I said, it's just a little bit deeper. But I thought this would be fun to do. This just gives it a new little twist. I have like glitter all over the darn place over here. That's the only bad thing about glitter is I feel like it'll be everywhere forever. Okay, isn't that cute? I thought that was just a fun little spin. Hey Rhonda. Thank you, Kathy. Both Kathys. So what do you guys think? Give me some hearts if you like this different little shamrock here. Okay. What we're gonna do is I'm gonna check on our leprechaun because I think we can go in and flood in some other parts. So while that's back in the dehydrator drying, we can do our airbrush on this and then go back to him and finish him up. Everything's, you know, you always have to toss back and forth on cookies. That's the way it goes. Okay, I'm gonna move this up here for a sec. Let me grab our leprechaun. Okay, he is crusted over just enough that we can start filling in some other sections here. Irish eyes are smiling, yes. Thank you, Judy. Thank you, thank you. Hey, Sean. Okay, so let's do this. I have some flesh tone color. Okay, these are going to be his ears out here, and then we'll do flood in the inside part of his face, and then we'll do the band here, the black band on his hat. This little rim of his hat will have to be last, but that won't take long at all to kind of finish that up. And then we can go in and do some details. Now I'm going to tell you, I'm going to show you, tell you, show you, same thing. I'm going to be using these little black dragées, right? I'm going to use these for his eyes tonight. You don't ever have to use these. You could just do little dots of black icing. But these are fun to use. So I'm going to use these. I got these at my local cake and cookie supply shop. They're PME. They just re-jar them there. But you want to look for ones that don't bleed in your icing, and PME are really good about that. I know that Grunderfully Delicious usually sells them. I know she's been sold out for a while. She was waiting on some restock. So, but if you're looking for those, that would be a good place to look. Thanks, Faye. Kathy, the flesh tone that I use is from Chef Master. And I love it because it is a super easy, you know, it's only one color. You only have to mix the one color. Whereas if you were making it with icing colors, you know, normally I mix like ivory and a really light pink together to get the same color. But I like the Chef Master because it's an all-in-one and I don't have to tailor it. So if I have to end up making more, I can make it match easily. Whereas, you know, sometimes if you are, you know, making a color out of a couple different colors, it can vary a little bit. So, all right, so here is his little ears, and we're going to do some detail on that once it's dry. And then let's go ahead and just fill in his face, and I'll show you how I use these little dragées for his eyes. Okay, and I made this flood a little bit thicker because when I go in to do some details, I didn't want it to be super duper thin, which I don't usually make my floods super thin anyway, but I wanted it to be just a tad on the thick side. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, you're welcome, I'm going to grab a couple of these dragées, and I use these little tweezers. If you don't like them, you don't have to use them, but they're like a reverse tweezer. And I'm going to go ahead and put some right about here. So here's one little eye. I like these two because they're simple. If you just want to make little black eyes, you know, sometimes icing has a tendency, black icing, to get a little crazy after it's dry, and I've had it kind of break apart on me before. Whereas if I'm just using these, they're perfect. I don't have to mess with them. They don't break apart. They don't bleed. None of that. So they're a really cool little tool to use. Okay. While that is starting to crust, let's grab the black. And let me just mix mine up a bit. It's been sitting here. My goal is that we can get him crusted over enough to do some details and finish him up, which we should be able to. If he's going back and forth in the dehydrator, we shouldn't have a problem with that. Okay. So I have my black here. So I'm going to go ahead and fill in this side of his band. And I'm going to turn him. Normally, if I was doing a lot of turning and stuff, I'd have a turntable out, but I'm not going to get one out just for this. And I'm going to make this one a little bit thicker over here to match. There we go. And then I'm going to put just a bit of black in the center here of the buckle. He's cute already. No, the PME do not bleed into it. No. Nope. Jessica, these are PME. Like I said, mine don't say PME. I got them from my local cake and cookie shop, but they're the same thing. But yeah, the PME, I've bought Wilton ones before that bled, and I wasn't happy with it. But the PME brand for sure does not bleed. It does, Linda. If you use too much, in little spots like this, it's not going to do anything. You're not going to notice much. But if you have an entire cookie flooded in black, yeah, you'll have a black mouth, black teeth. Sometimes you have black come out other areas later. It's not a good look. Usually when I am doing full cookies, if somebody wants an entire cookie, the base of it flooded, I will usually flood like in a light gray or something like that and airbrush with black, because at least it's not a solid black. It's still going to stain a little bit, but not as much. Okay. This is crusting over actually kind of fast, so I'm going to go ahead and fill in this green section here, and then we'll pop him in the dehydrator and get him drying. These are 4 millimeters. That's usually the standard size that you want for the eyes. They have a 6, I believe it's 6 or it's 8, I can't remember. And they're pretty good size bigger than these, but these are your standard for like little eyes. Yeah, sometimes, like I said, I've had some issues before with my black icing kind of getting crummy on me. And so if I know I'm just doing a standard little black dot for eyes, these are kind of my go-to now. Okay. So there's the bottom little rim on his hat. You're welcome. Hey, Allie. Okay, we're going to go ahead and pop him back in the dehydrator for a few. Yeah, it is, Carrie. My autofocus is off, but I think it's when I'm getting too close to stuff, it's just losing focus a little bit. Okay, Carrie just asked me if my autofocus was off, probably because it looked a little blurry when I was putting things close, but it has a tendency to do that sometimes. Okay, while our guy is crusting over, let's jump over to this shamrock. So I have, yes, Belinda, they are. Yep, they're sugar. It's like just a sugar sprinkle. Yep, it's made with wheat starch, sugar, rice starch. It's all edible. Yep. Okay. This is a fun little whimsical, if you can see that against the cookie, shamrock stencil. This is from 2T's, and it's a fun little stencil, so I figured we would do that, and we're going to do these in gold, because I love gold, so anytime you get to use it, I will. I'm trying not to stick everything in my wet cookie over here. I'm also going to show you, once we're done with all of these, the ones that we did the other night in our crew. They're really cute. And all of these together would be like such a cute little set for St. Patrick's Day. Okay. So I got our stencil together here. I'm just going to kind of play with the placement. I actually like that right there. That way you can see a lot of the full-size shamrocks. Let me spray the rest of this little bit of orange out of my gun, and then we are going to do some gold. Hey, Catherine. No worries. No worries. So you guys know if you ever join late, and you wanted to go back, as soon as the live is over, you can always go back and rewatch it from the beginning. So if you missed anything, it's always there. So I'm just rinsing really quick. I'm getting mainly all the color out. If I leave a little bit in, it's not a big deal. It'll kind of clean itself out as I keep spraying it, but I usually I use these little eyedroppers, and I just fill it up with water and put it into the well of the gun and let it just kind of run through until most of it runs clear. And then you'll know you're good to go. So, Allie, gold is really hard to get out. It just takes a deeper cleaning. A lot of times after I use gold, I will actually take my gun apart if I've done a lot of gold. If you don't want to do that, you can always get it most of the way out. You just have to keep running water through it. It just takes a little bit more to get it all out. Some people like to run like Bogger Everclear through. A lot of people will tell you don't put Everclear in your airbrush gun. I've never had a problem. But then again, I don't let it sit in there. If you let it sit, it would probably corrode your gun. I don't let it sit because when I mix up my gold, by the way, I have these little squeeze bottles, and I'm using the Truly Mad Plastic Super Gold, and it comes in a powder form. Hey, Angelica. So you can see it's powder, and I add Everclear to that, whether I'm painting with it or when I'm putting it through an airbrush. Hey, Mona. Good to see you. You just want to make sure it's pretty thin when you're putting it through an airbrush gun because it has to pass through, and that sometimes that powder, the little bitty particles in the powder can clog up your brush. So you want to make sure that it's mixed really well. So I keep it in a bottle that has a little squeeze top, and I just keep it, I shake it up really well. And as you can see in there, as I'm shaking, you can hear it, it's really liquidy. You want it to be like a water consistency. So let me pop off the top here. Gold's tricky. The gold is, especially if you're using like a powder form like this that you are adding liquid to, it's tricky and it takes a little bit to get used to in an airbrush gun. All right, so I'm going to work really quick with this just because gold can be a little finicky, and you're going to see me, it's going to look like I'm like super coating this, which I kind of am, but with gold you got to move kind of quick because it separates quick as well. So usually when I'm airbrushing with it, I'll move really quick to get a good gold coverage. So you're probably looking at this going, I can't even see through that. And that's because you can't. Ta-da! So you can see it didn't take much time at all. So we just have this cute little gold shamrock pattern on there, right? Easy peasy. Easy peasy cookie to make. So how did you mix it? Okay, so all I do is you just take a little bit of the powder. There's no really right or wrong measurement. You're just going to put some in. I put a little bit in the bottle, like I said, and then I just add Everclear in. And I also keep my Everclear in a little squeeze bottle off to the side because I usually add this to my gold when I'm going to paint with it, or silvers, or any colors really that I want to dilute with it. Oh, did you, Emily? Yeah, I've been wanting to try that. I have her rose gold, and I really like that. I've been wanting to try that. Yeah, you can do the same thing with Rolcom. Rolcom would work the same way. I used to use Rolcom before I started using Truly Mad Plastics. But you just add a little bit of powder in. You want to add, like I said, enough vodka, Everclear, extract, something like that that is going to thin it down enough and dilute it. And you want it, if you can see me moving around there, it's super watery, right? You want it like a water texture or a water consistency. You want it really, really thin so it's going to move through your gun. So I'm just going to squirt some water in my gun so that it doesn't dry up with that gold in there. I'm going to give it a good dump out here for a sec. I don't like to leave gold and Everclear sitting in my gun. Like I said, it could probably corrode it if you leave it in there too long. So I'll give it a good rinse, and then I'll set water in the gun until I have time to really, really clean it out. The powder is from Truly Mad Plastics. It is the Super Gold metallic dust. I'm just going to give this a real quick run through in my gun, just because I don't want it sitting in here. Okay. I'm going to go run this under my faucet really, really quick just to get this coating of gold out. I'll be right back in 2 seconds. Okay, so like I said, with the gold, it'll kind of coat the inside of your gun. So you always want to make sure that you really rinse it well. And like I said, it's rinsed, but after the live, I'll actually go and rinse it through a lot more, just so I can flush all that out. Because the gold likes to, it kind of clings to everything. But that's pretty, right? What do you guys think? Really simple cookie, but it goes together with some of the complexity of the others as well. You're welcome. Okay. Let me check really quick. I know he's crusting over fast. Let me check on him. Okay. I'm going to leave him in there for maybe 1 or 2 more minutes. And then we can get him out and start doing some details. So real quick, while we're waiting to do that, let me show you what we did in the crew the other night. How cute are these? These are the ones that we did in our cookie crew in the bonus tutorial. So we did a fun little pot of gold here with a little shamrock. And then we did a really fun technique on this one. We flooded it in white, and we did a wet on wet going one direction. So if you can see there, it's like it's more flat to the surface of the white. And then we went the other way. We did it after it was crusted a bit. So you can see it as I turn it. It gives it kind of like a cool 3D effect. So those were the fun ones that we did on Sunday night. And this was made with, this was just a base, we put base like yellow icing on, the same yellow we used on here. And these are sprinkle confetti, gold confetti sprinkles by Wilton. We just put those down into the icing, and then we went over the top of it with the same super gold that I just used in the airbrush. And just went over the whole thing. And like I said, this was just flooded in black, and we did a cute little shamrock on it. So really easy cookies to make. They have quite an impact, but they're not hard at all. Chris, the rose gold I got from the Cookie Countess. It's her airbrush rose gold color. It's really pretty. Yes, Cameo, isn't it pretty? I know. Okay, let me move these out of the way. Let me go check on our shamrock. I want him to be crusted. Yes, so this cutter is a cauldron. So this is the same one that I use at Halloween time. So I'll use the same one and do like the fun, you know, witch's brew and stuff like that in it. But we just used it, in this case, just like a pot of gold. So it came out super, super cute. It's fun. It's a fun cookie. And this looks like it's like packed with these, but it's really not. These are just on the surface. All underneath it there is just icing. I just layered them right on top and kind of had them looking as if they're stacked in there. So it looks like it's more, but I promise you it's not. Like if I turn it, you can see the underside of that yellow icing just along the edge. It's just icing all underneath. Okay, let's grab our leprechaun. If he's not dry all the way, we'll work with what we got here. Okay. So here's our little friend back. So let's see here. We have to add a nose. We're going to add a nose to his face. We're going to add some fun bushy eyebrows. Another thing that I was going to do, and I actually need my airbrush gun. Let me grab my airbrush gun back. Susan, I make mine 3/8 of an inch. I cut my cookies 3/8 of an inch. I know some people like to do theirs 1/4 inch. But yeah, I make all of mine 3/8. Okay, I was just cleaning the water out of my airbrush gun and making sure all the gold was out, which it is. I am going to take Pinch of Pink. This is by the Cookie Countess. This is an airbrush color. I like to use it for like little blushed cheeks. It's like the perfect pink color for that. Yes, they are, Trisha. They're 3/8 of an inch. The Cauldron, I think it was an Ann Clark cutter. It's a metal cutter. Most of my metal ones are Ann Clark. I believe that's where it came from. I believe it was Ann Clark. Okay. So let me get the pink going here. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to do 2 tiny little sprays here to make some rosy cheeks. And I'm doing this first because we're going to put down a nose on him and stuff. So if you guys can see that, sometimes it's harder to see it on camera. You can see it more in person. You can see like just the touch of some rosy cheeks there on him. And I feel like my icing might be pitting a little bit, but it's rainy outside here, so it's been messing with my icing today. Okay. So let's do this. I'm going to go ahead and add his nose. So we're going to go in with the same flesh tone that we used to do his face and his ears. So I'm going to turn this to the side a little bit. So I want him to have kind of a bigger bulbous nose, right? I want him, that's going to be kind of like his statement. So we'll add a nice nose on him. I have like a tiny little crusty of icing here. Okay. So there's a nice little nose on him. And while we have it out, I'm going to go ahead and use the flesh tone, and I'm going, like I said, this is a little bit thicker, but I think it'll be just enough to kind of do a little bit of an accent on the ear. So I'm going to take this and just barely give it pressure and outline around the outside of his ears, just to kind of accentuate those a little bit. Okay. And then also I'm going to do just some tiny little lines here for like the inside of his ear. Okay. Just to give it a little bit of detail, because the devil is in the details, right? Okay. So you can see that's kind of like the little insides of his ears. And then, let's see, I think that's all I want to do with the flesh tone. I don't think I want to do anything else. Okay. Let's jump down to his beard really quick, because the last thing that I'm probably going to try to do is do a little bit of a smile with an edible marker, but if he's not dry enough, I won't do it. I'll wait. This is that same orange color, but this is in a thicker consistency. It's a piping consistency. And I'm just going to cut a small tip off the end of here. Sean, usually if you will use a thicker icing, one of 2 things. Well, actually one of 3 things. There's a few different ways to get around that. One, if you use a little bit of a thicker icing, it's less likely it's going to crater. 2, you could always put a little bit of a thicker piping icing underneath and then fill in the flood on top. That helps it a little bit. And also, if you can get it into a dehydrator or in front of a fan for it to crust over faster, it won't crater either. So there's a few little things that you can do to kind of help keep that from happening. Okay, I'm going to outline around the outside. Now, as I come down here, I'm going to do like a little wisp on his hair. and on his beard. Okay, I'm just going to add some like little details here just to kind of bring it to life a bit. Let's see, I think I'm going to come down here. All right, we'll do some here. We're just going to give his hair a little bit of detail here. Okay. So his beard has a little bit of detail. And then also what I'm going to do is, let's add his eyebrows. I think I'm going to add his eyebrows with the thicker orange because I want them to have a little bit of definition too. So I'm going to come in here. How cute is that, right? And I'm making them a little bit thicker towards the inside and then just easing up on my pressure a bit as I come out. You're welcome. Yeah, I know, right? He's kind of like a little Yukon Cornelius. And I'm just kind of pulling out the end of his eyebrow here just to bring it out a little bit thinner there on the end. I'm gonna have a couple of tiny little bubbles. Okay. Cute, right? Now he has some cute little bushy eyebrows. Then what we're going to do, I have some thicker green here. And I'm just going to outline around like the rim on his hat just so we can kind of make that pop a little bit. So this is the same color green we used before, the leaf green. This is just a thicker consistency. Okay. I know, right? I know. When you start seeing it come to life and you're like, yes, the cookie is actually like, he's a little leprechaun now. He's not an upside down ice cream cone anymore. Okay, so you can see just outlining the rim there gives it a little bit, just a little bit of something. It helps that pop a bit. I might even, I'm considering, I don't know if I want to do it or not, because sometimes if I go too far, I don't like doing it. I think I'm actually just going to leave it alone. One other thing I'm going to do, I'm going to come up here and add just like a little shamrock on his hat. Just a little one. You don't want to eat them? Oh, you can still eat them, Darla. They're still just as delicious. Okay, so here I'm using the same green I just had. The icing bags I use, these are actually from Bee's Baked Art Supplies. I use them from a few different places. She's usually my go-to. They're a thicker, nicer bag. I like them from Truly Mad Plastics. Excuse me. And I like, I tried the ones from Grunderfully Delicious. And I kind of like those too. They're a little bit thinner, but I really liked them. They were good quality. Okay, so for the shamrock, I am going to start with like a little stem here. And we're going to make him a 4-leaf clover up here because he's a leprechaun, right? So I'm going to add 4 little leaves on our 4-leaf clover. Just like that. And this is thicker, so I'm just gonna, if I have any like little points or anything where I lifted my bag, I'm just gonna smooth those down. Okay, cute, right? All right, I am thinking about tempting fate here. I think I will. I think we'll tempt fate. Do they? They burst on you, Hope? I've never had one burst on me. But if you, they are a little bit thinner, so you may have gotten a bad batch too. I've had that happen. I've had it happen where I've gotten a whole bad batch of bags and I've had some do that, but then every other time I've ever ordered them, they've been fine. So sometimes that'll happen too. Okay, so let's go ahead and add a fun little mouth here. I think I'm just going to give him kind of a cute little smirk. This, by the way, is by Chef Master. We don't have the links in here because I forgot to tell Carrie and I didn't think about adding them either, but we'll throw them in here if you guys want to find them. I don't think we did anyway. I don't think I told her. I believe I ordered these from Flower Box Bakery, maybe. I'll find out where I ordered them. But I love them. They are super saturated. It's an awesome black. So if you're looking for a good black pen, edible marker, this is it. Mary, I have my own, hi, by the way, welcome. I have my own cookie recipe that I have perfected over time. I kind of took pieces from different recipes and played around with it. It's in my ebook along with 3 other recipes if you're wanting to maybe look at that and try it out. And it also has my icing recipe and a bunch of really cool pictures and tips and tutorial and all the like techniques, tips, all kinds of walkthrough stuff in it. So that's available on our website if you happen to want to do that. All right, so like I said, I think I'm going to do a little sideways smile here, and I'm going to be very careful because my icing's not completely dry. It's just barely crusted over, but I'm using, these pens actually have 2 ends, by the way. It has a finer tip end, and it has a wider tip end that has more of like a soft brush. I'm going to use the softer, wider end just because I don't have to, it won't give as much pressure and puncture the surface of my icing. So let's do like a little side smile here. Okay. And then let's just do like a little accent mark under here. Isn't he cute? He's adorable. I'm loving him. Loving him. Okay. What do you guys think? What do you think of our Mr. Leprechaun here? I'm thinking, I thought I might even outline, but I think I'm just going to leave it alone because I don't want to add too much of it. Sometimes if you add too much, it takes away from it. So I kind of want to leave a little bit. I think I'm just going to leave it the way it is. I like him just how he is. He is up to tricks, isn't he? I know. Those tricky leprechauns. Okay, so let's look at our cookies here that we did. I'm going to zoom out a little bit so you guys can see them all because I was zoomed in pretty far. Thanks, guys. Yes, he's cute. He's a cutie. Okay, so how cute would these be all together for a little St. Patty's Day celebration? Right? Cute. And I'm loving this one. Besides him. I mean, I think he's my favorite. But this one, I'm digging big time. I love how it all tied in together. Judy, if you put in the keyword tonight down in the comments here, if you put in lucky, that will take you to some links we have. And one of those links, I believe, I don't know if it's in there or not, but it's on our website. So you should find it when you, there are some links to our website. But we have 2 different ebooks for sale on the website. One is the Cookie Basics, where it has all about the cookie and icing. And then we have one if you're interested in starting up a cookie business, and it kind of helps you get started with that. But yeah, that's available all on our website. So you should get the links. If you follow the prompts in your messenger, you'll get the links to all that. And also just to remind you guys, because I won't see you back here on the main page until next Wednesday, the doors are closing pretty soon for our crew. So if you have been thinking about that or you're interested in it, you don't want to miss out on those Easter designs. Check that out because once they close, they'll be closed until we open up again at the end of March. Okay? And then we'll be on to our next month and our next theme. All right? Does anybody have any other questions for me? If not, this will be it. And then I'll see you guys back here on next Wednesday. Oh, Carrie says click on the Look Who Cutter link. Book is in the store. Okay. So you guys want to check that out. Oh, we do have our Look Who cutters as well. If anybody has not heard about that or didn't know, we have some really cute Look Who birthday cutters. They say, like, I can show you one of them. And some have matching stencils, some don't. We have a set out there right now that don't have the stencils with it. It's just the cutter. But it's the outline of the wording, Look Who's, and then there's one, it's 1 through 5. So we have those available too for pre-order if you are interested in any of that. Okay? All right, y'all. You guys, Susan, yes, you can. Yep. You can cancel at any time. Yep, you're not tied into any kind of contract or time constraint. You know, if you get in it and then you decide you don't like it anymore, you can't continue, or whatever the situation is, you can just cancel. Yep. All right, guys. Well, I will talk to you next Wednesday. If I don't talk to you before then, you never know. Sometimes, like I did today on my live, I pop in and we'll tell you about Happy Mail and stuff like that. But if I don't talk to you, I will see you guys next Wednesday. All right. You guys have a great night and great rest of the week. Bye.